said the other day what brought this up. I think the only country we have a reciprocal agreement with right now is Canada, but Canada has provinces, so that was the reason for the change. So I'd stand for questions and ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee have anyone have any questions? Okay, Representative Ridley.
At the proper time, I'll make a motion.
Okay. You have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I heard you say was that they had to have a relationship with us or an agreement with us.
A reciprocal with the
agreement.
state of Georgia.
Okay. But if they don't have, we're not going to have
We're
one.
not going to have one with them. That is correct.
And-
I understand Germany is working on doing a reciprocal now, but right now I think the only one we have a reciprocal agreement with is Canada.
It's Canada. So in essence, so we can go out and try to get some other reciprocal agreements.
That allows the commissioner DDS to do that. Yes, but also, like I say, the Department of Economic Development has got to have a stamp of approval also that it's going to be a substantial economic value to Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, number 12, Representative Perkle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But the reciprocal part that you mentioned in Section 2, that's not new language. The only thing, the reciprocal is already in place.
Yes.
All we're adding is a foreign country or political subdivision
of that country.
So it could be a province of Canada.
That's what
the
brings
reason
that
for
in.
this bill is so that we can acknowledge the provinces of Canada to make sure that we are specifying not just a country but province, basically.
Yes.
So the reciprocal is no change. So the only change in this bill is political subdivision of foreign country to allow provinces in Canada.
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions? Chair would entertain a motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Measure passes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the next bill is House Bill 936.
Okay, what, just confirm the LC number so we'll make sure we have the,
LC 392602S.
okay, go ahead and present the bill.
All right, this is the bill we discussed quite extensively the last meeting. Basically, what the Department of Driver Services is going to have it's a pilot program they're going to roll out to be able to issue a person their driver's license on their mobile device, which their cell phone, and it's optional. We talked about the other day. They're also going to continue to issue the plastic card. They will have both. And there was some discussion about the other day about the sheriffs had a problem with taking possession of a phone and going back to their car with it, but changes to the bill allows them to take the plastic card. They do not have to take possession of the phone. And two places in the bill it spells out that does not give them the right, if they do hand the phone over, to search the phone other than just to see their driver's license. And that's basically what we're doing. And now the Sheriff's Association is good with it, and also got an email. I don't see her here this morning. There she is. I think with the changes, I think you're good if I read that email right. So, and that's with the trial lawyers. So anyway, that's basically what we've done. So if I'll answer any questions or stand for a motion.
Okay. We got something going on and off here. 15, Representative Kennard.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we are just authorizing a pilot program. We're not authorizing the license at this point, correct?
They're going to roll out a pilot program to test it, and we talked about the other day for an annual report, and I think they've got a way they're going to do that. And I was talking with Ms. Leslie. I don't see her yet this morning, but they're going to be able to do that in their annual report to give a report back to us how that's working.
One more question. And then later we're coming back to authorize the electronic license. Right now it's just authorizing the pilot program.
I don't think that's right. No, I think this rolls it out, and they're just going to start it out as a pilot, and they have the opportunity to keep doing that. But like I say, it's totally optional to the person. They don't have to get them. If you don't want the electronic driver's license, you do not have to have it.
Okay. Don't see any other questions. Oh, you do? Okay. 8, yeah. Representative Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a discussion a little bit about a disclaimer on the face of the electronic display indicating in a broad, visible manner that the individual did not have to provide that phone to the officer. Was there any additional discussion of that? I understand that could be an administrative issue, not necessarily part of the law, but we do have that concern.
I'll turn it over to my lawyer.
Good morning, Angelique McClendon, General Counsel, Driver Services. Yes, that definitely can be done. What'll be done is with any vendor who would take on this project, we have the administrative authority to design it the way we want, and definitely a disclaimer would be on there.
So that is Mr. Chairman, that is a commitment by DDS that you
Yes.
are going to display that disclaimer clearly on the phone that the individual does not have to provide that physical device to the law enforcement officer. Is that
Yes,
a commitment that DDS is
Yeah,
making
we'll-
to this committee?
Yes, we'll remind them of what the law says. We won't go beyond what the law says, but yeah, we'll remind them what that says.
I think we're talking about just a broad, bold-faced disclaimer right above the wherever,
Yeah.
that this device does not have to be given physically to the law enforcement officer. Is that a commitment that DDS is making today?
Yes, we won't go beyond what the law says. So we don't want to make it to the point where, we just want to make it within the confines of this, but in general, yes. We can put a disclaimer, just like we have in the law, that display of the electronic or digital credential does not equate to a consent to search.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's all we're saying, is that we make it clear to the individual. Not everybody's going to know the details of the law. Individuals being stopped on the side of the road.
I think it's just a simple programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I was
Yeah.
just looking for a commitment.
Right.
Yes,
that-
I mean,
that indeed that
yes,
display is
yes.
going to be there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Alexander?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In relation to that question, once that person come in and they're going to, when they come to the DDS office and they're going to get their electronic on their phone, is it something that they would sign off on, letting them know at that point in time too, that the officer does not have to take the phone?
Yeah, so what we'll do is, of course, whenever we're ready to implement, there's an education piece that would go with it, and that would be part of it to the general public, and definitely to our customers individually, because it's new. So that would be a part of our marketing and education piece.
Okay, thank you.
And for both sides too, for law enforcement and for
DDS.
the customers.
Correct.
Okay, Representative Barr?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion we do pass.
All right, we have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Measure
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next bill we're going to do is Chairman Watson, House Bill 890. And again, we heard extensive comment on this bill the last time he was here, and there's been some changes made to the bill, and I'm going to ask him to explain those changes, if he would.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate y'all letting me be back. I'm working off of LC 392580S. Everybody got that? So after coming through here last week or the week before, we know we had several concerns, so we wanted to try to address those concerns so that we could get a better piece of legislation, and that's what we've tried to do. So the first piece that we changed will be the OR, giving DDS the right to still do certified mail, as well as the certificate of mailing, so they can do either or, so they have that option. The second thing, or I guess one of the other things that was brought up was the costs. And this is a pretty big savings for Department of Driver Services. And I know there was a thought brought up that said, well, why don't we just raise the fee for reinstatement? But this is money that's being wasted. And these are people that are struggling. So I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea. So we've got it in a good place now, using the certificate of mailing, giving them the option. It's still gonna save the department about $700,000 that they'll be able to use to run a lot of the services that they have, and it's just good government and a good way to treat taxpayer money. And I would just appreciate your support, and I've got driver services here if anybody's got any questions.
Number 9. Where we at?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess this would be a question for council. I'm a little confused about how this language is necessary given OCGA 9-10-12 spells out what certified mail or statutory overnight delivery is for any rule or any law in Georgia that requires that notice, as the child support recovery section here does, that we're changing.
Yes, sorry. Can you clarify is your question about certified mail language?
Well,
period,
I just don't know what's unclear about the notice requirement in OCGA, the subsection G here in 1911-9.3. I guess what I'm asking is how this differs than what we already have in the law about certified mail or statutory overnight delivery, as is spelled out in a different section in the code about what kind of notice is required to satisfy that.
Well, this gives an option for certified mail or certificate of mailing. The certificate of mailing is a trackable way of mailing. So I think that was the concern.
Well, and I guess my question is that in one section of the code, we have spelled out, what, when it says certified mail or statutory overnight delivery, what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I'm asking is there anything other than the money that makes this different than everywhere else in the code that we require this type of notice?
Well, for child support in particular, there's the notice scheme where they've already received notice from the child support services, and then it's sent to driver services for yet another notice.
In one final question, if I might, Mr. Chairman. Is there anywhere else in the code where notice is required that the agency ultimately gets paid? Because if your license is suspended, there's a reinstatement at some point when somebody, so you get paid when somebody reinstates. And I'm just curious if there's anywhere else in the code where this type of due process notice is required that the government entity actually gets paid, and that fee is presumably included in the cost of the fee.
Well, the reinstatement fee and all the other fees that we collect, they go to the general fund. So it's not that the agency actually gets paid for that. That's another reason why adding on to the reinstatement fee wouldn't, in addition to what Representative Watson said, wouldn't necessarily work. But there are all throughout Title 40, there are suspensions and there are reinstatement fees that have to be paid for each suspension or even a revocation.
Number 17, Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 77, 78, and 79, I'm still, the follow-up, I was looking for proof that and so I thought that, so what are we using for proof? Okay, I'm sorry. What are we using for proof?
The certificate of mailing, there'd be proof in our records.
Okay, so we're putting this in this legislation that's the proof that we're using. So is that in the document somewhere that I didn't read? Because I saw it was scratched. It was.
Yeah.
29 and 30.
Proof of receipt. Well, so certificate of mailing doesn't have the same.
You say it was trackable?
Return receipt, but it is trackable. There's like a tracking number, so to speak.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I'm trying to, what I'm trying to do is find out how is there proof that I received this?
So the Postal Service have someone there at the headquarters, wherever they do the mailing, and there's someone that they hire, we call the U.S. Postal Service, and they have that person that's all they do is for the certificate of services, they document. We provide them a list of these are the people that we've sent a letter to, and then they check that list and make sure that everybody matches. And then we're given, and they stamp that to certify that this has been done, and they'll give it back to us, and then we'll put that on the customer's motor vehicle record.
So this is in
one
this
more.
document.
That process is not in that document, but it's not in certified mail is not in that doc. The process for certified mail is not in there as well.
I was going to ask you a question on certified mail, like Chairman Perkle said the other day. You send a certified mail, and I don't sign it, and I refuse to accept it. What happens in that case when you send a certified mail, and they won't sign it?
It's returned.
It's returned, but you still suspend the license.
Yes, we still.
So I mean that's okay. Number 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My day job is I'm a nonprofit executive. I work with homeless individuals, getting them back on their feet. We have a residential program. Many of them are returning citizens, and we're a reentry program for even accountability courts. There are so many barriers to getting someone back on their feet that it becomes defeating. A typical client of ours has a mental health diagnosis, addiction issue, low academic achievement, criminal record, and many times a child support order. And it's my experience that these folks are really wanting to do the right thing. They're wanting to pay their child support. Most of them are forced into an entry-level job, but the child support order is so strong it wipes out 60% of their check. And then when you compound that with suspending their driver's license, it even makes it more difficult for them to get on their feet. So I'm fundamentally against any measure that makes it even more difficult for a person to get back on their feet. My experience is these folks are wanting to do the right thing, but the system is just so stacked against them with so many barriers.
So this doesn't change the fact that we will still suspend. So having the notice return, it still suspends. So I understand what you're saying, and we've helped many organizations like the organizations that you're talking about. So we do understand those predicaments. However, whether certified mail is in the statute or certificate of mailing or first-class mail, those licenses are still suspended once we receive the notice from either child support or a court that the person's license should be suspended for non-compliance with child support.
All right. Seeing no other questions, now be the proper time for a motion. We have a do pass. We have a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Aye. Not recognizing your motion. Oh, show of hands. I'm good with that. Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? The ayes have it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, at this time, Chairman Hitchens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Today I bring, excuse me, I got a bad cold, House Bill 1021. What this is a rejuvenation, if you will, of a bill that was passed in 2005 known as Joshua's Law. Joshua's Law was passed back then and went into effect in 2007. What it does is it provides grant scholarships for driver's education to people in the 15 to 17 age category. These scholarships go through technical schools, private schools, public schools, and private providers. I think last year there were about 160 of them. What this bill does is shortly, I think it was 2009, the bill, it was paid for by 5% of traffic fines being put into the Department of, or the Office of Highway Safety, and grants were awarded on 3 priorities. However, about 2009, it was backed up from 5% to 1.5%. The only thing this bill really does here today is it takes it back from 1.5% to 3%. And the 3 priorities are that children of public safety officers that were killed in the line of duty get first priority, children based with need-based, 125% of free or reduced food from schools get second priority, and all others get third priority. What's happened now is they run out of money every month, and this would take it from about $2.9 million a year to $6 million, and would accord almost double the amount of students to go through the program. My philosophy is that just like many other things in life, particularly academics, is a good foundation is builds for a successful career and professional life, and it does so with driving skills. I'm astonished today when I drive. I used to speak to this all the time, and I used to ask groups, how many people think we have problem drivers in our society? And everybody raises their hand. How many of you think that you're a problem driver? And nobody raises their hand. And therein lies our problem. But anybody that pays insurance on teenagers for driving understands that the liability is much, much greater. You pay much more. And this is a great benefit to our youngsters, particularly those who have need-based and aren't able to, who may not have a family member that teaches them effectively how to drive, and that's basically the synopsis. I do have Josh Turner from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety here if you want a more in-depth explanation.
Okay, if he wants to come up and speak.
He said he didn't, but he'd be glad to add any.
I have a couple questions. If he,
sure,
we might need him to come up and answer some questions. But number 6, Chairman Powell.
Thank you. To my good friend, is it not true when this Joshua's law was enacted at 5%, it was kind of disingenuous, because at that time, instead of any of this money being spent on teen driving, it was about $80 million that was dumped into the general fund that was never seen in the light of day again.
And this, the problem we always deal with was Jay Powell's constitutionality bill that's pending right now, and that even though in some places the law says that the money will go to certain places, sometimes it ends up elsewhere.
Is it not true that when it was dropped back to 1.5%, stayed there for years, and then finally, thanks to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, about 6 years ago or 5 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, that they finally started implementing a scholarship program that's a lot cheaper than the high school driving programs on the taxpayers, and they were funding these scholarship grants.
Gentleman knows of what he speaks.
Is it not also true that the 1.5% has now reached a point that they need more money to do this, and instead of jumping it back up to the 5, we incrementally are putting it at another 1.5%, so that it actually goes out there to the benefit of Georgia students to issue these scholarships?
That's very correct. As I already stated, they run out of money every month now, and we have many more applicants than we have the ability to pay for.
At the proper time, I'd like to be recognized for a motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have one other question, number 12. Representative Purple.
Mr. Chairman, I am not going to follow Chairman Powell. So he said everything I wanted to say and said it better than I could.
All right, seeing no further questions, now would be the time for that motion.
Adopted, move it forward, and get him out of that well.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We've got a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Chairman Sessler. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Mr. Chairman, appropriate time, I'd like to bring before you House Bill 895.
And now would be the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, House Bill 895 is the exact same language that passed our House of Representatives in 2017 session. In fact, it passed this day, March 3rd, 2017, by a vote of 164 to 0. It got caught up in politics over in the Senate Rules Committee. In ways we don't need to address. But the underlying, what this bill does is it takes the offense of failing to come to a complete stop at a stop sign, or failing to come to a complete stop as you're coming to a stoplight to make a right turn on red. And if you're driving at a very low speed, i.e. less than 5 miles per hour, and there's no danger to persons or property, it would make it a 0-point moving violation consistent with driving too fast for conditions, as opposed to what it is today. Under current law, if you fail to come to a complete stop at a stop sign in a neighborhood, or if you come up to a stoplight and there's no traffic coming and you fail to come to a complete stop before you make a right turn on red, it's a 3-point moving violation, the same as driving 24 miles per hour over the speed limit. What this bill does, Mr. Chairman, it allows there still to be a fine of $100, but what this proposes is, by taking it from 3 points to 0 points, it recognizes that many insurance companies look at points on the license in assessing dings against your insurance. What I've told folks before, and as I talk about this in the broader conversation, a $250 moving violation is not just the fine that you pay to the city or municipality or the county. It ends up being about, depending on where someone is in their insurance structure, it can be a $1,200, $1,300 hit on a working family. Because if you think about $25 or $30 a month added to your insurance every month for 36 months because of a moving violation that carries 3 points with it, you know, what is an incomplete stop at a right turn on red becomes a $1,200, $1,300 hit on families. And this is an effort to allow it to still be a moving violation, allow someone still to be pulled over. They've got to report and follow the process as they would with any other moving violation. But by taking the points away, we're taking away that big insurance hit in many circumstances, and providing what I believe is a common sense step where if someone drives through a stoplight at 35 miles per hour in a busy intersection, that's a 3-point moving violation. It should stay that way. But something like this, failing to come to a complete stop for a right turn on red where there's no traffic, folks are getting hit with this, and I think it puts proportionality, Mr. Chairman, in our moving violation laws.
All right, we do have a question, number 6, Chairman Powell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do remember this bill, and it's a good bill. I only have one thought to it. Since these probably a rolling stop is what we call this, it's probably one in certain jurisdictions, it's probably the most abused traffic citation is given. Do you not think it would be appropriate that that $100 fine should be reduced to a $25 fine with no surcharges?
Mr. Chairman, that would send a very strong message from this committee. I'm fine living with 100 or whatever this committee would decide. If you think 25 is better, others said to me maybe it ought to be higher than 100. Mr. Chairman, I'm fine for the will of the committee, but
yes,
I just wanted to represent it. It passed out of the House this way before, so I wanted to bring back the same thing we passed. But Mr. Chairman, I'd leave that to the wisdom of the committee.
With the permission of the chair, I'd like to ask our legal counsel, does this $100 have surcharges attached to it?
Yeah, it specifically says it doesn't.
So we need to put language in there. Make a motion for an amendment.
okay. Do we have any other questions? Number 7, Representative Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So do we, and I understand the hit is not so much the $100 or the $250, but it's more on the insurance side of the house. With this, passing this bill again, as we did before, not just invite folks to continue moving doing these moving violations? Because that technically is what moving violation.
It is movement, yes, sir. Sure is.
And I know you talked a lot about traffic, but there's also pedestrians out there
Yes,
that making a right turn, and you're
Yes, sir.
yielding is what you're doing. You're not stopping.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the question. If I could direct gentlemen to lines 51 through 54 of the bill, it's down in section 2 on the second page. It says, no point shall be assessed and no more than $100 fine may be imposed. And you read down, it says, unless it can be demonstrated at the time of the violation that the vehicle is traveling speed of greater than 5 miles per hour, or, and this is the key for you, sir, or the violation resulted in a direct threat of harm to person or property at the time. So if there's a pedestrian in a crosswalk and the person's not looking, and the officer sees there's a carelessness and maybe some people could have been impacted by that, then it's still a moving violation. It introduces this element that if there's no threat to person or property, and the speed is very low, it really becomes a lesser offense that a officer could charge. Right now, the only tool the officer has is 3 points, or don't bring anything at all. And this, to me, what this is, it really is within the moving violation continuum. It's just a lower penalty. So, like we do in our criminal law, more severe crimes bring heavier penalties. Less severe activity brings lower penalties. I'm just trying to put some proportionality because, again, I recognize if there is a threat to person or property, then an officer may be well advised to cite the full 3-point moving violation. But if there's none of that, and the speed's essentially almost a stop, essentially a brisk walk or slower, then you're in a place where the officer has some options.
May I follow up?
Yes. Absolutely.
And I understand exactly where you're going with this. However, my concern is the fact that I know a lot of people don't obey certain things if they know the consequences or not.
That's right.
So, and this right here being one of those where we're not reducing the points from 3 to 1 or 2. We basically eliminating points. So technically, their insurance is no longer affected. And what I can envision happening, especially young drivers, where this becomes a habit, their parents' insurance is not affected. But now when their parents' insurance is affected, that's usually when they sort of clamp down on the behavior. And I'm not sure if this is something that promotes that.
It's policy question. I would say to members of the committee, this in no way gets in the insurance code. We're not telling companies what they can and can't do. I believe that some insurance companies, I know that some insurance companies have told me that they look at the offense, not the points. Others look at it differently. I would tell you that it's my contention, it's the policy question for the committee. I don't believe that a incomplete stop at a stop sign or a right turn on red should be a $1,200 hit on a family. I mean, I'm just being real. It is a bone-crushing hit on a family, and I've even talked to some officers about that before, just as we've sort of bantered about this. Is as you realize it's not a $250 fine. In the economy of this offense, it's more than $1,000 hit when you factor in over 3 years what it does to families. It's a policy question, but Mr. Chairman, what I'm putting before the committee is I believe there's a 2 tiers of offense. I believe driving through a stoplight in an intersection at 25 miles, 30, 45 miles per hour, just blowing a stoplight or a stop sign and coming to an incomplete stop, I do believe there should be 2 different tiers of treatment under a law. And that's the proposition there. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Setzer, thank you for bringing this bill. I do have some concerns with it. As somebody who teaches thousands and who has taught thousands of kids how to drive in our state, let me ask you, when we talk about the points, and I think so the points and the aggregate of is a system that we put in place, and then it's kind of like whose line is it anyway? That's the system that we use. Mm-hmm. We create the points, and then the insurance company piggybacks off that, and they say, okay, the state's using these points, Here's how many aggregate gets you to a license suspension or something like that. If we start to intentionally change the points, to change the system or the ways that insurance companies are rating customers, if we do it enough and we change the foundation enough, they're just going to start rating us in different ways, right? They're insurance companies. They're going to look at the total cost over the year and say, hey, they changed this law, it's costing us money, and they're going to increase their prices. I've got no love lost for insurance companies at all, but I think it's kind of I think it's a Band-Aid fix, maybe, rather than a cure to the issue at hand. That's the first issue that I have with the bill. The second one that I have is one of the things we train the most when it comes to driver's ed is the disobedience to a yield sign for students. And so when they pull out, they're traveling less than 5 miles per hour, but they pull out too far. So if you can imagine, I'm in an intersection taking a right-hand turn, and we're telling them to yield, look for oncoming traffic. The yield sign says stop if there's traffic coming, but if I pull out too far, right, or rolling stop or rolling yield, and they get hit, that's one of the most common occurrences that we see with young drivers. So with that, I have concerns with the bill.
Okay. Appreciate the question. I will tell you, to me, this also gets back to, and I've shared this with law enforcement. In fact, when we initially sponsored this bill in 2017, I went across to the public safety building where the Georgia Chiefs Association was having their chiefs conference. I spoke to probably 200 chiefs of police about this bill specifically, and I told them what the intention is and kind of what this does, what it does and what it doesn't do. First question I want to speak to is the one about the insurance. Insurance bases its rates on that which leads to safe outcomes or unsafe outcomes. They want to try to profile a driver and see what's truly unsafe behavior and what's not safe behavior. They don't read the fact patterns. They don't read the narrative in the police report. While I would never tell insurance companies how they write their policy and what they base their decisions on, I do believe it's our job as the lawmaking branch to create tiers of offenses. And just as murder has one offense, aggravated assault has another offense, or aggravated battery has another offense, all the way down to simple battery, in the criminal context, I believe, and this is the policy question for this committee, there are tiers of danger, and from that we tie points. Right now, under current law, in fact, if you look on line 27 of the bill, driving too fast for conditions is 0 points. So if you're driving in a beating rainstorm in a 55-mile-an-hour road, and a police officer believes that driving 56 miles an hour is too fast for conditions, you can get that, or coming around a turn, all kind of things. So the question is, should there be proportionality in the moving vehicle, within moving violations? So it's just a policy question. And my contention, in as much as it would affect insurance, is this is a way lower level of behavior in terms of danger to persons and property than the other fact patterns. Last thing being the issue of, I think we have to understand as lawmakers, we come back each year and look at what we're doing, is if the effect of what we're doing is bringing about potentially more than $1,000 hit on a family because of the way we've written these things, we've got to own those outcomes and say, you know what, we're okay with that. And we're okay if we don't create multiple tiers around our moving violations. But if you do think there's a way to draw a bright line, and we worked on this in committee because we had a subcommittee hearing to try to get the language right, and it's a policy question for the gentleman. But if you think that coming to an incomplete stop at a right turn on red is a different thing than blowing through a stoplight at 40 miles an hour with no stop, then it invites the legislature to say, you know what, let's create two tiers. Now, what the fines or points should be, that's an open question. I'm bringing the bill because I believe there should be two tiers. Not that we want to teach kids to be callous or not pay attention to yield signs or stop signs. It's just, if people break the law, what should the penalties be? That's the thinking.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, if I may have one more question. I would totally see to the fact that there's inequity in the point system. As a 17-year-old who totaled an F-150 on a very rainy curve and got a too fast for conditions ticket, I understand that there's some inequity. I probably should have had a little bit more than a hand slap on that one. With that being said, I don't know if I totally believe that the insurance companies are going to be fooled by a points system change, right? If it is, and from our experience, at least my experience, I see that these teens are pulling out too far and they're getting hit, right? And they're causing these vehicles to be damaged. I'm just not totally convinced that the insurance companies are going to be fooled by rules change here today.
Sure.
But if they are, that's good for Georgia consumers.
Well, I know one company that told me they don't look at points. I've spoke to one firm that says they don't. I know others do. So again, I'm not trying to fool any insurance companies. The question is, what's before us as a legislature? We're the keepers of the code, and should there be proportionality across this? That's all this is trying to do. Yeah. And I recognize that there may be differences of opinion in the committee. Sure.
Number 3, Chairman Barr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman Setzler, for bringing the bill. I totally agree with you and couldn't be more eloquent that the people of the 103rd District appreciate this bill. And I'm just sorry I didn't bring it myself, because the inequity of going 24 miles an hour over the speed limit and getting 3 points and rolling through a stop or a right turn on a stop at under 5 miles an hour, the proportionality to me is absolutely glaring, and at the proper time I would move to do pass.
Now would be the proper time for the motion on the bill.
Motion do pass, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Now I think we have an amendment, number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 51, at the $100 fine, I would like to change that $100 to say $25 to $50 at the judge's discretion, with the proper language in here that says that there'll be no points, those extra surcharges added to this.
I'm waiting on ledge counsel. No, yeah, well, you can.
Okay, so 51, no points shall be assessed, and a fine between 25 and 50 may be imposed, with no additional fines, surcharges, or costs otherwise authorized by law to be assessed upon such amount, and then for A, and then the rest.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on the amendment? Okay.
A rationale to that.
Okay, we have a second. Let's you explain your amendment.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. And I heard what's said here, and I'm not in the business of issuing points reduction classes. But I think that's ridiculous, and I think it's a good bill that on a rolling stop, probably the most number one citation or issue that drivers have. You pull up to a red light or a stop sign, and most people I know, they don't just roll through, they actually look to see what they're doing if they're a good driver. If they're going full speed and never even paying attention to the stop sign or the red light, then that's a different citation. But in this citation, a rolling stop, number one revenue generator of some jurisdictions to hassle people. This gives judges discretion at $25 to $50. If it's a certain questionable offense, then they can go to the $50. No surcharge, it speaks for itself. Good bill.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will vote on the amendment now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Got 2 noes. Motion carries on the amendment. Now let's vote on the bill as amended. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. At this time, at the pleasure of the chair, I'm going to amend the agenda this morning and call House Bill 1082, if Chairman Powell. Have you got 1082? Are you ready? Hey, we got copies right here. And we'll hear the bill and we'll see what the pleasure of the committee is. Yes. She's handing them out right now. You can present it from there. Be fine.
To the committee members, I'm sorry I didn't realize this bill was coming up today. Y'all may remember in the last several years we've been trying to work out the problems that the towing industry has had with a lot of the jurisdictions. These are when folks pull these vehicles in, and you know, last several years we've been trying to hem this up. Magistrates charge for the process, but a lot of these cases, the charges by the magistrates and now the clerks have weighed in. And we thought we had all of this hemmed up last year. Obviously, we didn't. The magistrates are working in the system with the towers on the fees that they charge. And in this deals with the clerks, that they have now started charging extra fees, and this basically specifies exactly what fees they can charge when a towing operation files their paperwork to notification to the folks they've towed. This is the same issue y'all heard for years. Towing operations, they get an order from law enforcement to come tow a vehicle. They tow it. They have to give proper notice to the folks, which is a lengthy process. They go through the magistrates. And now what they've done is the clerks have come in and they're charging the higher fees, which was not intended. And this puts it all in order. I think Mr. Halliburton, who represents them, is going to address that issue.
You've come to the podium, please. Yeah, state your name and who you're with.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll try to be brief. My name is John Halliburton. We represent the Towing and Recovery Association of Georgia. Chairman Powell and the Georgia House and Senate and the Governor's Office has been great to work with us on trying to streamline and make the abandoned vehicle process much more efficient. And we did that last year with a very big encompassing bill that Chairman Powell did and others, and it passed with no opposition. And we had a lot of work on it with the magistrates. And before that bill passed, a bill was passed by Chairman Powell several years ago that said court fees cannot exceed $11 when processing the abandoned vehicles. And then when this bill passed, the way the language was worded, some judges decided that, in their opinion, that they could charge more than $11 because it changed some wording on the way the court was processing the vehicles. So we've talked to the magistrates. They said that they're okay with this. It's clarifying in Section 2 that you cannot charge more than $11. If you read the language, just which amount shall not be subject to any other tax, fee, or surcharge otherwise authorized to be collected throughout Section 2. It does that. And then also at the end of Section 2, it clarifies it one more time in lines 83 through 86. And then also on line 81, it clarifies that $14, if the lien holder asks for a trial, which is less than 1% of the time on these abandoned vehicles that are less than $500 in value typically, then it says that they can only collect the $14 fee the court can at the time of issuance. Section 1, the towers are now getting lien holder and owner information in a much more faster and timely manner thanks to the bill and thanks to the new DOR's drive system and other things. And so the lien holders came and the towers agreed that 15 days to get notification out was probably too long, and they both agree that 10 days is probably better for the consumer, for lien holders, for owners, and for towers. And so Section 1 changes the notification from 15 days down to 10 days with towing and repair shops and salvage vehicles companies.
Do we have any questions? I see number 6.
Is it not true
Sometime.
that in this is what I stated, but also the more succinct, it goes back to this irritability that I have with surcharges?
Yes, sir.
When we pass this legislation, because these are abandoned vehicles, most of them are derelicts, and what's happened that in that process, the towers that are authorized and called on law enforcement, they're filling up the lots.
Yes, sir.
They can't get them out fast enough. So what this does, and in the process last year, it gives them a venue that they can get rid of those, so they've actually got room to put more, so it became a public safety issue. The majority of the language in this bill, it specifies, when we say $11 or we say $14, these surcharges, it's maddening. There's no truth in the taxation or the fine system or anything else. And this basically says that if it says $11, then you don't come back in there and then all of a sudden you mystically put a $50 or a $60 charge on there because of all these add-on fees and stuff like this. So this is actually truth in the fee system.
Thank you, sir.
Number 16, Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a reason why the days have been changed and it's been lessened down from 15 to 10?
Because with the new drive system from DOR, towers are able to get lien holder and owner information much faster through law enforcement and through Department of Revenue. And the lien holders and owners and towing companies all agreed that 15 days is probably, they can make it 10 days to help consumers get notifications faster, because they're getting information faster now anyway. So all parties agree that 10 days is probably the most fair number of days. It was around 10 days before the bill passed as well, so.
Number 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I guess I kind of remember this bill back, but my only concern about the person's vehicles being been towed, you got 10 calendar days. If this was towed on a Friday, 2 of those are weekends, so those calendar days would, the reason that I kind of partially agreed with the 15 days, because that gave 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, and those not being calendar days. Now, if you'll do 10 business days, I think that will, other than 10 calendar days, that's a whole lot different than 10. That's a different 10.
The towers that we deal with from the Towing Association have said that 10 days is more than enough to get the information out.
But I'm on the other end. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. I'm on the other end, but
Okay.
it's my vehicle that's been towed.
Right.
So I'm saying, so is there a problem with 10 business days other than 10 calendar days?
Oh, to shorten it?
No. No, make it 10 business days instead of 10 calendar days.
If you want to do that, you can do that, but the vehicle owner, I'm assuming, wants to get it in a faster manner than longer.
Oh, yes, I do, but but I may need the time to get it.
It's just saying they have 10 days to send out a letter of notifications, all it's saying, not pick it up. It's saying that instead of 15 days to send out a certified letter that your car's been towed,
Okay.
they now have 10 days to send out a certified letter your car's been towed.
You're
Yes.
getting his notice faster.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Number 2, Representative Moore.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, my question was just answered. I mean, to my understanding, the time is on the burden of the towing company and not on the consumer. So it's really in benefit of the consumer to make it less.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay.
All right. Number 9, Leader Trammell.
Mr. Chairman, if this is the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
Now would be the time.
I can make the motion, do pass.
Do we have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We've got 4 minutes, and we will do House Bill 216.
I'll try to knock this out in one.
Do you have a rendition of the tag?
I do. I
Okay.
do. Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chairman and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to bring before you House Bill 216. This is the bill. If this bill seems familiar, it's because identical language passed in 2018, actually on January 30th. This bill would create a license plate, a special tag that would honor the Georgia Tennis Foundation, and the funds through the sale of the plate would be dispersed to the Tennis Foundation. The Tennis Foundation has met all the requirements of the Georgia Department of Revenue, including the special license plate sponsor bond. And I
I'm happy to take any questions. I thank you for your time. There is substitute language on your desk, and that just notes a change in the paragraph number.
And when you talk about met all the qualifications, all the requirements.
They have met all the requirements.
And basically, we require them to have their 1,000 tags pre-sold or stroke a check for $25,000.
Correct.
And that's what you're saying they have met.
Yes.
You got a rendition of the tag. So all of our boxes have been checked on our requirements that we set forth, and we amended our rules this year.
Yes, sir. And again, this bill has passed previously, and it's carried over to this current session.
Number 17.
Mr. Chairman, just had to do at the proper time.
Do we have any other questions? Now would be the time.
Do pass.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Got 2 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have before you today House Bill 1018. I'm working off of LC 392541. This is the Support Our Troops license plate. I have a rendering here of the plate. 23 states have already adopted a similar plate, working with the Support Our Troops organization. They have also submitted all the requested paperwork and documents for not only this committee process, but also for the Georgia Department of Revenue. And my constituent, Thomas Butler's here this morning, and he is involved with the Support Our Troops organization. But if there's any questions about this tag, I'd be happy to answer those at this point.
All right, one of the questions I have when y'all came and spoke with me, how much of the money that was collected actually went to what it was being donated for, and you speak to that?
Right. It's 3% of their collections every year that they fundraise, and they raise about $40 million a year. 3% is withheld back for administrative costs, and I've seen their 990s, which is a part of what they had to submit. This is a very strong organization that does a lot of good work throughout our country to support our troops.
So 97% is being donated or to the purpose of that it was designed for.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is the support? I mean, can you?
The support is basically whatever the troops need, and so Thomas Butler can share a little bit about specifically what they do.
So what they do is they pretty much, all the troops that are overseas, this gives them the funds of anything that they are asking for. If it's anything, whether it's certain kind of snacks or foods, Support Our Troops actually donates everything overseas to whatever country they're in, as well as helping support all the families here in the United States if their loved ones are overseas to help them whatever it is they need help with.
So is it similar to a USO, a mission that they are already doing? Or
It's similar to it, I'm assuming.
I guess, and this is just Georgia troops that we're. Again, I'm just trying to figure out who we're. I used to be a soldier, and I'm just trying to figure out who is this.
This supports troops all over the U.S. and all over the world. This is not just specifically for Georgia. It's for everybody who is serving in the armed forces.
Yeah, and I'll add that in the past, I don't know how many years, I think it's the past 3 years, we have the data that they gave us that showed $4 million in support that went to our bases here in Georgia to support their works. Whatever the need of the troops is, and it can be, it varies. Those are the opportunities that they look for and they take advantage of to provide basically whatever the need is. Now, as far as can you limit it to just Georgia troops, we had a conversation about that, and it was discussed the fact that we have members of our military that are here in Georgia from other states, as well as our Georgia citizens that are in other places serving as well. So it's hard to specifically require that the funds that they raise go to an actual member from Georgia, but there was conversation about that.
Again, one more. Again, I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, there are a lot of organizations, and that's just USO as an example, that support the troops. That they're Wise Clubs and things that do bake sales to support the troops. I'm just trying. Is there something specific that you guys are doing that is different from what's already being done out there, and how is it benefiting Georgians?
Right. No, I've got the data about the organization that I'll be happy to meet with you and let you look over that. But basically, they are the ones that came to us when Thomas reached out to me and said, we don't have a tag in Georgia that you can purchase just as a civilian to say, I support our troops. I looked on the Department of Revenue website and realized that all the military tags that we have are very specific to service and having had to have been involved. So the goal is to give us the opportunity to have a license plate that a civilian could buy that says, I support our troops. And then also knowing that this organization, which is a very credible organization and does incredible work to support whatever that need might be that our troops need, that they are the entity that we're partnered with. They've had experience in this arena. They've done it in many other states, and so that's how we got to them as far as why we chose them versus the USO or any other organization that's involved in an effort to support our troops. So that's a little bit of the background about how we got to the Support Our Troops organization.
All right, number 3, Chairman Ball.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you bringing this bill. As you already stated, we don't have this type of bill, and we do have, I believe, over 180 tags available. This is a volunteer program. If you'd like to sign up for it, you mentioned to me it's a 50-50 share. As I looked at their overhead of 3%, that is extremely low, and I appreciate that. And at the proper time, I'd like to make a motion to pass on this bill to support our troops.
Now would be the time.
I make a motion we do pass HB 1018.
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
We will have another meeting scheduled for Thursday at 1 o'clock. And we'll set the agenda and we'll get it out to everybody. Thank you.